What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another Fridge Financials video. And in today's video, we are talking about the most anticipated 2026 IPOs that might come into the stock market. If you were excited for today's video, as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, turn on those bell notifications for all future uploads. So, we have a lot of big names that are rumored or might have the potential to IPO in 2026, this calendar year coming up here. And we're going to talk about what could happen, the ideas behind it, and what could possibly have either a positive or a negative impact on it. So this article comes from Renaissance Capital, who they classify themselves as the IPO expert, and they do an IPO outlook for 2026. The IPO market continued its gradual recovery in 2025. New issuances reached a 4-year high, and demand for disruptive tech plays encouraged more high-profile names to test the waters, like Klarna, Bullish, CoreWeave, and Circle. Those are the big ones that we saw. Bullish had a big rally. CoreWeave did. Circle did. Klarna, I don't think did as much, but they still went public this year. However, hopes for a full rebound were dashed by volatility from tariffs, which we all know that was a huge problem. An extended government shutdown, which is obviously great, which we are still dealing with the aftermath of that, and a late pullback in AI stocks. And many IPO candidates continue to take advantage of generous private funding while seeking to avoid down rounds of the public market. Basically saying the uncertainty in the markets this year specifically has kind of let many IPO candidates who are like, oh, we could go out public if we want to, have decided to stay private and continue to get funded privately, so they don't get hit with a downturn in the public market. Because again, we'll talk about this idea behind it, but interest rates make a difference. And unemployment, inflation, all these things in the public market can have a big impact on IPOs, no matter what. Now, with more stable ground underfoot and a backlog brimming with the next wave of innovators, we're optimistic the IPO market will resume its long-awaited pickup in 2026. Now, I will say this, saying a more stable ground, I feel like is not accurate right now. It's not. And we'll talk about the macro implications behind it. But I don't think we're anywhere close to out of the waters where markets are all perfectly fine and sunshine and rainbows, unfortunately, right now. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Themes like fintech, healthcare, digital assets, and defense should carry into coming year and potential big name IPOs. These are the big ones that are rumored here. OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, Sam Altman, all that kind of stuff. Anthropic, more AI, and SpaceX, backed by obviously it's Elon Musk's company, right? Another one of his companies, not just Tesla. We estimate a range of 200 to 230 IPOs in 2026, raising 40 to 60 billion, driven by a more robust comeback for large issuers. What should drive the IPO activity in 2026? Stabilizing macro conditions after tariff volatility, which we still, I feel like, could still potentially face this year because the Supreme Courts haven't ruled out tariffs are unconstitutional yet. If that comes out, that'll be amazing. Cooling inflation and declining rate environment. And again, we'll talk about this later on. And growing demand for AI and other disruptive tech. Obviously, demand for AI has obviously never been higher. Everybody's using AI, and that's a good thing, but also a bad thing. And we'll talk about that also in this video here. Again, this video covers a lot of stuff here. We're going to talk about all the IPOs. We're going to talk about my opinion on things. We're going to look at the data, and we're going to use this to kind of come up with this thesis here. So, long-awaited IPO pickup expected to resume in 2026. As you will see, we've had a nice increase here. Now, this right here leads up into the first major perspective, okay? IPOs were the highest in 2021 in the last however many years. I think it's probably the most ever. Why 2021? Well, what happened in 2020? COVID virus, pandemic, shutdowns, rate cuts to zero, all that stuff. When do companies that are trying to raise capital, that are trying to grow their companies, when do they like to IPO? They usually like to IPO, which in case you're not sure, it's an initial public offer. They usually like to IPO in low interest rate environments. Why? They could borrow for cheap, they could push their company bigger, they could expand, and they can try to grow when borrowing money is cheap. Why was it so low in 2022? Well, back into 21 and into 22, we said, we have huge inflation. We got to start jacking up rates left, right, and center. So they jacked the rates up in 2022. Nobody's going to go IPO. Nobody's going to IPO if interest rates are super high because it costs a lot to borrow money. And again, as we slowly started to get rate cuts, we started to see a little bit more of an increase in IPOs. Makes sense. I get it. Here are the big names that they're listing for potential IPO. Well, these are the ones that are already publicly filed. I don't really recognize any of these names really here. These are the ones that I've already filed. So these are the ones that will be going public next year, guaranteed. A lot of smaller cap company plays, 800 million, 400 million, 400 million, 100 million. And again, these companies right here, these low, small market cap plays, these small caps right here, these are going to benefit well in a low interest rate environment. Okay, so if we get low rates and we keep rates low, then they could benefit because they could borrow money for cheaper. If we don't get that, that's where they tend to not want to go public. Hence why the article said, we don't go public because of this reason. Here's the ones that'll take the center stage. Big names coming in. OpenAI Group, as we know. ChatGPT, that's the big guy right there. SpaceX under Elon Musk does reusable rockets and global satellite internet network. Huge valuation there. This is actually an undervaluation. If you take a look at their recent private valuation, it's $800 billion. Some people say 1.5 billion or 1.5 trillion. I'm like, okay, dude. Anthropic, another AI one as well, which has been very, very popular. Revolt Group, don't really know much about. Canva, I've used Canva before. They're going public potentially. Kraken, which is for cryptos, they're going public as well. So some huge, huge names coming with evaluations. Look at the ones that are filed, 800 million, and look at the ones that are rumored to be filed. ChatGPT and OpenAI, 500 billion. SpaceX, 350 billion. I think it's more than that. If you take a look, this is Yahoo Finance's private companies. Look at their private estimated valuation. SpaceX, 800 billion recently. Was 400, now it's 800. OpenAI, 500. Anthropic, 350. Databricks, I know is a huge one as well. 140 almost. Those are huge ones. What else do we have here? Another one is Kraken, 13 billion. Even Kraken as the lower end of things here is still valued higher than all of those companies that are already filed to go public. I didn't see Canva on here, but like Discord still private and stuff like that. Played, I heard was a rumor. But the big names that are going public most likely this year, it sounds like, and it could be probably the back half of 2026, SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic. These are three heavy-hitting names that are going to be looking at going public in 2026. Now, where's the problem with what I could see happening here? When this article sits there, and this is why I'm against it right now, this article says, oh, we're in a more stable environment. I don't know where you're getting this idea of a stable environment from. We are not anywhere close to a stable environment. Keep in mind, when Trump announced his tariffs back in April 4th this year, it caused delays in IPOs in big companies like Klarna and StubHub. These aren't small companies. Klarna and StubHub are very, very well known in the world of ticket sales to StubHub, Klarna for buy now, pay laters, kind of like Affirm, that kind of stuff. They paused their IPOs because of these tariffs and the shock that this market could have gotten from as a result of it. And they got a huge shock from it. And Klarna and StubHub delayed it as a result of it. That is a huge thing to keep in mind about. Any kind of news that could break at any point in the year could delay these IPOs. Okay, they could delay them no matter what. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be something small, but it's still companies going to say, you know what, we're going to wait, we're going to push back, and we're going to wait. Because again, if you are IPOing into a very volatile standpoint in the market, you could lose funding so quick instead of just staying private and waiting for a better opportunity to go public. And that's a big problem that we face in 2025. We have this problem of IPOs being delayed. Okay, things to keep in mind about, as we said. Interest rates is a huge thing for IPOing. Huge thing. Right now, at the moment in time, according to the Fed probabilities, we're looking at keeping rates steady in January. And if you look at the probabilities up till, let me zoom in a little bit here for you guys, get a little bit of a visual here. If you look at your probabilities up till the end of this calendar year here, you're looking at maybe having 2 more rate cuts here, which is still pretty good overall still. But again, if there's any sort of shock to the market and these probabilities start to get pushed back and the rates stay the same for longer, that could delay IPOs. Again, the higher your interest rates are, the worse it will be to IPO, especially for smaller cap companies. For SpaceX and for ChatGPT and OpenAI, I should say, and for Anthropic, they probably don't really care about interest rates so much because their valuations are so high. But again, it's still something to factor in and to consider as we are looking at the markets. Okay. If we start to see a hawkish Fed and they start to crack down and keep rates where they're at, that could be a signal of distress in the markets, or rate cuts could also be a distress in the markets, right? And again, you don't want that. You don't want to have any sort of distress, and then you don't want companies to go IPO if there's going to be some stress, because it could ruin their funding as a public company that will be on the market. As we're taking a look here, this is what I mean by saying that we're not out of the water just yet. Okay. Consumer price index, which is your data that you're looking at in terms of inflation and stuff like that, which is something that's very, very much watched. Okay. It actually came in not too bad. But again, the government shutdown made a huge problem, because if you take a look at the data here, well, let me actually go back up here for a second first. Let's do that. So it increased 0.2% seasonally adjusted over 2 months. So it was a 2-month period, because again, the shutdown means they couldn't give us any of the data here. And over the last 12 months, all items increased 2.7% before a seasonal adjustment. BLS did not survey data for October due to lapse in appropriations, aka the government shutdown. Big difference. Okay. Now, what you'll take a look at, which I think is funny, look at this huge gap right here. Here's September's inflation data, and here's November's, right? And again, do we know? Again, we take right now the data that we're taking with a grain of salt because of this huge gap we have from the government shutdown. If you're saying, oh, inflation's coming down, which may be true. We don't know what happened in October. We have no idea. We also don't know how much data they actually got in November in this case. We don't know how long, they just scrambled to put some numbers together. We don't really quite know, but they didn't give us the data for this case. And here's the big problem that people are freaking out about is, again, the government, the Fed, worries on a dual mandate idea: low inflation and high employment. Inflation is still above that 2%. They want 2%. They want below 2. They want it to be at 2%. We're not there yet. We're at 2.7%, 2.6 which is take out the vault, all foods or all items less food and energy. So we're getting there, but we're not quite there just yet. But the big problem that we're facing is the labor market. As you will see here, unemployment is now up at 4.6%. And you have this big spike. Look at this big spike coming in from June up until now, November. Huge spike in unemployment, right? 4.1, 4.2, 4.1, or sorry. That was last year's. 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. Nothing really shown here because of the BLS. Obviously, data was not there. And then 4.6. So our unemployment is increasing, okay, which is a problem because, again, if your unemployment is increasing, that means people aren't working as a result, which means less money is being able to be spent in the economy and stuff like that. And the big question is, why is unemployment increasing? And I hate to say it, but because of artificial intelligence and these AI platforms. I don't need to go hire someone to do my bookkeeping if these platforms are good enough to do it for me. I don't need to hire a receptionist if I can just have an online AI platform do it for cheaper, right? And that lines up with the 27-week and over unemployment numbers that you're seeing here, okay? Why a lot of people do not look at this, I don't know. But when you look at this data point here, 27 weeks and up for unemployment, what does this mean? That means that you are not only unemployed, but you are staying unemployed for longer. Why? Because why do I need to hire somebody where I can have ChatGPT, I can have Anthropic, I can have, Gemini, for example. I can have all these different AI platforms with softwares that are a lot cheaper. I pay for it, and it does all the work of 4 employees, 5 employees, and I don't have to pay as much money for it. So the AI, boom that we're facing right now, the fuel, the demand, which again, they said, oh, the demand's there, which it is. The demand is there, but the demand is going to be, I feel like the worrisome is too much. If we have too much demand in the AI platform, in the AI space here, which there's growing demand for it, what is that going to do to our unemployment numbers? It's going to keep them higher, because you don't need to hire somebody as much. And as you will see, the spike is starting to occur again in this 27-week and up period here. May, June, July, August. Look at these, a little bit of pullback September. We don't have October's, obviously, because of the BLS not being open because of the government shutdown and stuff. But we have this overall trend of an increase in people staying unemployed for longer. And again, that is a huge, I don't know what that was. That is a huge problem that we're facing here. So is it going to be good? Well, again, I mean, the rate cuts will be great for IPOs, of course, but are they going to keep cutting it? Because again, when you cut these interest rates, is it going to spike inflation up higher when you get higher? When you have lower interest rates, people are able to borrow money and spend more money and put it into the economy more, which is going to increase prices, which is going to increase inflation. So they're kind of in this tough spot right now. I don't think we're out of the water. We're not in the stable position that they're saying in this article here. I think we're definitely not even close to being stable yet. Now, what does that mean for companies that are IPOing? Things to keep in mind about, okay? SpaceX goes to IPO at $800 billion market cap, okay? At $400 a share or whatever the case is. With these companies here, I don't know which ones I would want to get in on the initial public offering when it gets debuted, okay? Because again, as we saw with like Bullish, with Circle, with what's the other one? CoreWeave, the first day they came out, I think Medline also, the medical one also was really good recently. As they went public, they get these huge spikes, 10, 20, 30%, 40%. I think Bullish was like 100% when I got into it, and then I sold out really quick. I don't think we get that movement with SpaceX or OpenAI, for example, or Anthropic even, because you'd be doubling the valuation. If it comes in at $800 billion, you're going to double the valuation in one day. I don't think so. People say, oh, it's worth like 1.5 trillion or whatever the case is. And again, thinking about the likelihood of an IPO going from 800 billion to 1.5 trillion. This is probably the biggest IPO to ever hit the market, honestly, SpaceX. And even OpenAI and Anthropic too. But again, in looking through these companies here, keeping the idea in mind that like if you're looking for a doubling of your money like the other IPOs in 2025, that definitely isn't the same case because these are hundreds of billions of dollars. Taking a look at Bullish, for example. Where is Bullish? What's the market cap on Bullish here? 6 billion. 6 billion. Again, as you will see when it first IPO, you got that huge spike up and everything else. So 6 billion for Bullish. Circle has a market cap initially of 20 billion. And that was a huge run up. Again, you got that huge run up when that first, look at this. It ran from June 5th all the way up for like a month straight almost. It went from, $80. What did it IPO at? $80, $60, $80 to like 300, right? So that was a huge one. CoreWeave, same thing. Take a look at their market cap. 38 billion. 38 billion. And that's with it also still being up 95%. So when it IPO'd, it was probably closer to like 20 billion, right? These are a bunch of, Medline? I think Medline was the recent one. I think. Yeah, it was. So this company just went public. They're, again, market cap 34 billion. So these companies are in the 10s, 20s, 30s of billions of market cap. And then you're looking at these companies that have hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. To get these kind of movements, I don't think is going to be as valid. I would wait and see what happens with these IPOs. Hopefully they even come out. Again, we would love to see them, obviously, but we don't have a stable enough economy yet to say, yeah, they're going to definitely come out. They could pull it out really quick and say, nope, we're not doing it anymore. So 3 major IPOs to look forward to, right? The 3 major ones, in case you're wondering, as we're finishing up the video here, 3 major IPOs, OpenAI, SpaceX, Anthropic. I think Canva and Kraken are also ones that are pretty good because I like using those ones, personally speaking, and those are very well-known names. But big IPOs are coming in 2026 in theory. And again, I say with a grain of salt, it's theory-based because we never know what could happen. We could have some crazy tariff news come out. We could have some crazy data come out for inflation or unemployment, and that could flip the entire market on its script here. So are we in a stable market? Definitely not. Could they still IPO? Of course they can. My guess is they would probably IPO towards the end of 2026. They get a better picture overall. So be on the lookout for it. Be ready for it. And that is basically my 2 cents on these companies here. So if you made this far in the video, as always, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, turn those bell notifications for all future uploads. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and there's a little bit of a breakdown about what we're looking at for 2026. Hope you're making money in the market, and I hope you make money in the market for 2026. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.